Now it's recording. Yeah, let's try it again. Round two. Hey, let's talk about again, why I've asked you guys, or ask anybody to do what we're having them do in the golf swing. There's three factors that are important. That's for ball control: the face, the path, and the angle. Club face, how it comes in, the direction you swing the club relative to where you want to go, and the angle to which the club approaches the ball. There's no question when you're looking at the club face, the grip has an influence to it. If you turn the hands one side or the other on the grip, it can alter the way the face is going to arrive. The other thing that can happen with that too is if you begin to move your hands around where there's a lot of hinging going on. I have the training aid on, so I can't hinge this one, but if you begin to hinge this golf club up and down or move your hands back and forth, you're going to alter the face of the club. So the hands are going to return in a position relative to the arms this way at impact. So you want to grab it that way when you start. So we're going to put that golf club in there, and I'll go even a little bit more detail since we're on film. Let's make sure that we put it, as you're looking at it, we want to put it in your fingers. I don't want it in the palm of your hand. Put it in your fingers and let it sit in there so you can get your whole hand on it and grab it. Okay, but you want the hands facing each other right on top. Now it's important that the angle that you set at address remains all the way throughout the golf swing. Show you from a side view. The same angle up here should be the one you had when you started. That keeps the club face square throughout the entire swing. So the face is always square to the arc because the golf club stays in reference to those arms in the same angle all the time. Now let's skip the path for a minute. Let's go to the club leveling off, the angle that the club approaches. We want this golf club to swing level through the ball as long as we can at the bottom. Now in order to do that, you've got to put yourself in a platform that lets that happen. And that's your posture. Slight bend from the knees, a bend forward from the waist, the back fairly straight. For those of us that can't straighten it, that's a little inside joke anyway. And you want the weight on the flat of your feet so you're not sitting on your heels. You don't want to sit back on your heels because right away any kind of turn is going to throw you off balance. So you want to sit there so the weight's on the flat of your feet and the arms hang underneath your shoulders. The angles that you create at address here have to maintain throughout the swing so this golf club can level off at the bottom. You've got to keep those angles as they are. If this straightens here, that's going to change what happens as you go back forward. That's going to alter where the club bottoms out. For us to be able to have this golf club swing as long as we can level through that ball at the bottom, we've got to maintain the angles that you set throughout the swing from here back to that golf ball. Got to keep in those same angles. So if we can keep the hands out of it, no hinging, that'll take care of the club face. If we can maintain the posture angles, that'll allow the club to swing level through the ball so you'll hit it solid. So now we've taken care of two very important pieces of impact, the face and the path, or face and the angle, pardon me. So you're going to hit the ball straight in the air and you're going to hit it solid. Now it shouldn't take you too long if you can hit it straight in the air and solid to find the path. You've got to swing the golf club through the ball in the proper direction. Now, that becomes important also because this golf club, when you set it address, has an angle to it. It's very important that this golf club swing in a circular motion that is parallel to that original angle all the way through on both sides. It has to swing parallel to that on both sides. If you begin to leave that angle and go up, this golf club now is not going to come back in the right way. It's going to trail behind, and now you're going to have to alter this at the bottom with the hands. It's going to change the club face drastically, hard to time. So if we can keep this golf club traveling parallel to its original angle the entire time, it's a continuous circular motion, that's going to give you the proper path through that ball to make the ball fly straight and in the direction you're actually aiming. Because that's where you want to do. You want to be able to swing the golf club through the ball in the direction you're aiming. Okay? For some of you, you may have to reevaluate your aim after a while because you haven't been aiming in the right place because your ball wouldn't fly straight where you're aiming. But that's okay. So again, back to the dynamics. Why are we doing this? If the golf ball could talk, it's going to tell you the golf club has to arrive in a particular fashion. It has to arrive with the face square. The golf club has to travel on a plane parallel to its original angle coming from straight from the inside where you stand, straight through the ball as you hit, and it returns back to the inside. Just a reference, anything from the ball to me is inside, anything over there is outside. So it's going to be on a circular motion from inside to straight and back to the inside. And when the club comes down, we want it to level off at the bottom of the ball for as long as we can so you can collect it solid. None of this trying to swing down at it with one club or swing up at it with another. You're going to tend to miss the ball that direction. And there's no reason in those short shots to have to feel like you're swinging into the ground. You can't pitch the ground forward. You can only pitch the ball forward. So we want to swing as level as long as we can. So in order to do that, the simplest way that I found to do it is by taking the setup that you have. The hands are going to grip the club on top. The arms are now positioned to where they will be an impact. We want to set the face square as you can start. Bottom edge of the club is straight up and down here. I'm going to set that to it with the feet, knees, hips, and shoulders parallel to what I'm trying to do, and a posture to which has me on the flat of my feet, bent forward from the waist so the arms can hang underneath my shoulders. And now I'm going to move in a fashion away from the ball. The first 3 feet is critical, that you maintain the angles of the body and you rotate the shoulders, the arms, and the club so when you're parallel to the ground, you're parallel to where you're going. The club head is now covering the hands right here. And from there, the arms will take the golf club up to the shoulder, so when you're shoulder high here, the shaft here is parallel to its original angle. Very important, and it continues from there. If you can keep turning, that's fine. I can't. So from here, now we want to bring the golf club back where it came from, the same path back down. It's going to return where it was at impact, strike the ball, and then it goes back around this side, the same angle over here. So we're going to have this golf club swinging on a parallel angle to the original shaft on both sides of the ball. That gives you full control of the club face, full control of the contact at the bottom, and full control of the direction. That's going to give you the things that we're going to do. And that's the reason. The reason I've developed this is because the ball says the club has to do this. So the simplest way to do that for the body to react is what we just talked about. The body has to perform as we talked about to make this happen. So as long as you can get those things done, the golf ball is always going to behave. It's very important. And one of the things that I know for sure is when you're looking at this place, when you get this golf club to your shoulder, it's imperative that this golf club comes back into the ball on the same line and plane angle that you had it at your shoulder. So if you've got this golf club vertical here, good luck, because I don't know how this can swing forward to a golf ball. It has to be dropped into the spot, and now you're so far behind with the hands, you're going to have to flip or rotate. You cannot control that golf club's direction by doing that. It's impossible. You're going to hit it all over the place. It takes a tremendous amount of timing, and if you can practice, as the tour players do, day in, day out, and play golf for a living, you got a chance. The rest of the masses don't have that. Can't do it. It's too hard. So why would you do that anyway? I don't understand why you would want to do that. It doesn't work. So again, based on the address position, the shoulders are important, that they rotate against the base. The legs are only important as a foundation. Okay? None of this, that from the top of the swing, in order to get distance, you've got to drive your legs. I have yet to see somebody have a club attached to them, so stop that nonsense about driving your legs for distance. It's hogwash, and it always has been. It's not going to help you. So it's not going to do it. The golf club's connected to the arms. The only way you can get speed is to swing your arms. It's the only way you can do it. Your legs will never let you swing the golf club any faster. They physically can't do it unless you're trying to kick it around the course. That's not what's happening. We're swinging the golf club, so we've got to do that. So again, the foundation is there. Maintain that foundation. First 3 feet, put it here, parallel to the way it was at address. Even if you only went this far from here, you can take that golf club right from here. You want to bring the club back to where it came from. None of this feeling like from here you've got to slide the hips or drive the legs. Any driving from here is going to put the golf club out of position. How am I going to get this back to a golf ball from here? It's now parallel to the ground in the wrong direction. I can't do it. This golf club from shoulder high has to be swung down to its place where it was before. From the top of the swing, the angle formed between the right arm and the shoulder must widen before the shoulders turn. If the shoulders turn, the right arm doesn't widen, the golf club is going to end up in the wrong position. It's going to be underneath the plane, behind the hands coming in, and you're going to have to make that up. It's going to alter the direction. So from the top of the swing, from here, the right arm straightens. Yeah, everybody's going to call that casting. Cast away, my friends. Do it all you want. Cast it all day long. But put the golf club from here back from whence it came, and now you're going to have an easier time. Just put it back where it was. You set up that way, why would you not return that way? Here it is, you're ready to go. The golf club is right here. Why don't we put it up to our shoulder in a position we can put it back where it came from? The sole purpose of the backswing is to enable you to make a correct downswing. That's the only function of it. That's the sole thing for the backswing. So why don't we put the backswing in the best possible place to make a downswing? Wouldn't that make sense? Makes sense to me. That's the simplest way to do it. So to do that, we have to look at the angle. Here's the angle of the shaft. Put it here parallel to where it was. And then return it. Put it here parallel to where it was. Return it where it came from. Put it right back where it came from. You'll run into that ball every time. And you'll have much more consistent shots, much greater control over your shots, and you'll hit your shot straight in the air and solid. There's no reason to work on curves. I got that all the time when I was running golf schools. Hey, can you teach me how to curve it right or left? And I said, well, you're pretty proficient at one. Let's find straight first. You know, hit me 10 in a row straight, then we'll talk about curves. But if you can hit it straight, why would you ever curve it? It doesn't make any sense. I don't need to curve a ball if I can hit it straight all the time. There's no trouble with straight. So I want to hit it straight. That's what it was built for. It says the club face should arrive square. If you hit the ball with a square face, the ball flies straight. The book didn't say I had to arrive with it closed. If it did, that sets up a whole new set of circumstances I got to deal with. But square, from the inside, to straight as you hit, level as you contact it. So let's get it set. Let's get it in the right place in the right time. Put it here, put it back where it came from, and off you go. It's a very simple process. It's not very difficult to do. So I don't know how much simpler you can make it happen. But if you get out of those initial phases from address, it's going to make it more difficult. And so it's very important that you understand what you're trying to do and how to do it. Very simple process. It's not difficult. It never has been. You can make it as complicated and as difficult as you'd like to, but it's not that hard. It just never has been. The ball's on the ground, and it's to the side of us. It's been there since the beginning of time. And until they move the ball, we're going to swing the golf club in the same way. The only difference would be if you get on a lie where the ball's above your feet, you'd want to swing it a little bit more around you. That only makes sense, wouldn't it? Because you change the dynamic of the club. If the ball's down below your feet, well, it's further away from you. It's going to bend the club more over. It's going to have to swing more up and down. Well, okay. Simple. Set yourself up to those positions, and the club will automatically do the same thing for you. Now, that doesn't matter whether you've got a pitching wedge, sand wedge, 6-iron, 3-wood driver. The golf club's set on the ground the same way. Do it the same way all the time. There's no reason to change it. Very simply put, face, path, angle. There's an angle formed to the shaft here. You have to match it there. Match it and return it. Match it and return it. That's all you got to do, folks. And it doesn't get any more difficult than that. Make sense? We can talk about the other one. I know from here, and you'll have to help me, Doc. Mo Norman's got it here, right? Well, I can tell you right now, if I do this, my golf club is set off the ground. This particular golf club, I don't think I could do it with, because now the lie angle's changed. It's too flat relative to where it was. If I had this upright some more, maybe I could do that. And I have a feeling if I put it there as it was, tell me if I'm pretty straight there, Doc. Is that pretty good? If I swing in that angle, yeah, I'm going to lose the ball to the right because the dynamic of the golf club is different. It's now too flat relative to where I'm standing. You know, the club makers way back when, they built these golf clubs, with the lies and loft for a reason. Based on, how the golf club should sit on the ground, based on the masses of trying to get it one similar setup for everybody. Because for the most part, if you stand up and look at most people, if they stand side to side, their fingertips to the ground are going to be pretty much the same. Okay? Whether you got somebody who's 6'5" or somebody who's 5'5". There are some that are different. Well, now the clubs have to be modified for those players. But I don't think you can take a golf club that's built in a particular fashion and set it up unless you change the dynamic of the club. This now is too flat relative. What I mean by flat, the toe is now going forward, which actually flattens the lie angle. And that's going to leave the face more open. And you can see if I do that, it's going to make the golf ball now fly You can't see it. Maybe you can see it on the camera, but it's going directly to the right. I can't get it back to square that way. Yeah, so I can't make that work. So now, because it's set here, I'm going to follow this pattern here. And now that's the one that's going to enable me to square it right back up. Plus, it's easier to do. I think it's easier to do. I've seen this way before. You know, I wouldn't say maybe you could maybe chip a few balls that way, take your hands out of it, but we already got something for that. We don't need to do it any other way. So again, as a reminder, the club is set at an angle here. We've got to get the face square, the path from inside to straight and back to the inside, and level. Let that club level off for as long as you can. None of this trying to swing up and down quickly because it creates a V type of impact. I want that club as level to the ground for as long as I can possibly get it. So it's set at an angle here. It turns there and sets on this. Put it back where it came. Just put it right back where it came from. That ought to do. Pretty good for that. I'd say that's a nice one, Dan. Came right back to me. So it's about as square as it's going to get. Yeah. So you want to get it same way each time. And I think that's the simplest way to repeat it to make it work. And I know for certain that at the top of that swing, if you're getting this golf club up in here, and as a matter of fact, let me get this out of here, folks, because I can't do it with this. If you're getting this golf club in your backswing very vertical, what goes vertically up is going to come vertically down. Your arms, this right arm especially, if you put it in the right plane, has to set underneath the left. That's going to enable it to return the golf club properly. If the golf club gets vertical, the right arm climbs above the left. The right arm has to position itself back under the left before you can move forward. Wow. Good luck. If you keep this all together as one motion, where you're not hinging this at the top, now you've got from your shoulder down to your arm to the shaft as one unit to swing, and you can create a lot of momentum with that and a lot of mass. If you take this to the top of the swing and hinge it, you've now cut your mass in half. So you've got to wait until it gets back to that mass before you can move it forward. Good grief, come on people, that's too hard to do. I know you see it on TV, they talk about the 90-degree lag and all this other stuff. You got to remember, if you're watching it on TV, you're looking at some of the players that have figured it out. But the masses, you all out there, you can't do that. You're not in the same physical shape that they are. You're not coming from a background of wherever they were as they grew up hitting balls to formulate the swing they have now. So for you to go out and copy what they're doing, you've figured it out, it's pretty difficult to do. So let's hit a golf ball based on what the golf ball is telling the golf club it has to do. That, for everybody, is a simpler way to do it. The golf club's function in its swing should only be to correctly apply the club to the ball. The sole function of the swing is for correct application of club to the ball. That's it. Let's find the simplest way to repeat that. That only makes sense to me. But anytime you get this thing swinging up vertical here, it puts the arms out of position, and now they can't behave. If you put it in the right place here, now the arms will rotate properly, and the golf club will stay with the arms the entire time, and that's what's going to drive this golf ball in the right place each and every time. Much simpler move to make, much easier on the body. It's repeatable, and now you can go out and shoot lower scores. Isn't that what it's all about? So that doesn't matter whether you've got a 6-iron, 3-iron, hybrid, pitching wedge, driver, it doesn't matter. And if you're going to pitch the ball short, hey, that's simple. Just do a shorter version of it. If you don't want to hit it as far, don't do it as much. And if I ever want to get, somebody says, well, you know, how can you get a little bit more distance? Well, you have to be able to still apply the club correctly at maximum speed. Everybody's going to have a point in time where they get to a speed where they can't apply it correctly. That's a little hello, hello. At this point in time, that's as fast as you can swing to make it correct. But don't sacrifice direction for just merely trying to get more speed. As I've always played golf, it's never the length of the course that gives me fits, it's the width. It's the width. They're not wide enough for your errant shots. So let's get them so your errant shots aren't what you're worried about. The length is the length. So it's a driver, 6-iron instead of a driver 8-iron. No big deal. It's not a big deal. But if you're driving it off in the weeds and you're having to hack it back into the fairway, now you still got that same 6-iron you had, but now your stroke worse. So stop that stuff. There's no reason to do that. So let's just make it as simple as we possibly can make it. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. I'm done. Cut. We'll cut this one.